Today we are starting our Indochina or Southeast Asia trip by taking a 5.5-hour flight from Dubai to Yangon, once the capital of Myanmar. Myanmar, previously named Burma, was a province of British India from 1886 to 1937 and a crown colony from 1937 to 1948 when it gained its independence. During the British rule, the capital was the city of Rangoon, changed then to Yangon, which changed to Naypyidaw in 1989. Myanmar, with a population of 53 million, is bordered by India and Bangladesh to its west, Thailand and Laos to its east, and China to its north and northeast. Its maritime border is with the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. Our guide Chocho Tung was waiting at the airport with the driver for the 30-minute drive to our beautiful hotel and had supper before the restaurant would close. The first thing I do arriving at our hotel at night is to draw the curtain in the next morning to have first glance at this first time visited Myanmar. After an out-of-this-world breakfast and catching up with the local news, we are ready with our guide, Chocho Tung, the driver, and a map to explore Yangon's busy and noisy capital. We stopped in the core of the city of 7.3 millions. As we drove around the city block, you see the Seoul Pagoda. According to the legend, this pagoda was built during the lifetime of Gautama Buddha about 2,500 years ago. From there we start our walking tour, first seeing the Yangon City Hall and then many British colonial buildings that are in dire need of restoration. Yes, another trip to another market. As to us, our compulsory pit stops. Adjacent there's a ferry terminal with passengers coming across the Yangon River. The market and the ferry terminal are great places to get up and close with the locals. Also nearby, there is the historic British colonial hotel, The Strand, built in 1901, where we stopped for a snack and local beer as we were listening to the Patala, a Burmese arched bridge marimba. Yes, here too we see protesters that we did not learn the cause they're fighting for. A quick stop at the Boyok Aung San Market, built in 1926. But first, we must exchange some dollars to local colorful currency, the kyat. Lunch is at this unique restaurant converted from a house where John McCain also dined in 2011. Then we visited Choktatji Pagoda, built in 1907. The gigantic Buddha statue at 66 meters long is one of the largest in Burma. Every Buddha site we visit today, and many to follow, you have to take off your shoes and socks. Time to think about bringing our sandals instead, like everyone else. As it started to rain, our guide suggested that we have tea in a large open area tea house with a tin roof. The highlight of Yangon is definitely the Sheragon Pagoda, or the Golden Pagoda. It is the most sacred Buddhist complex in Myanmar. The bell-like pagoda was built 2,600 years ago on a 51-meter high hill. The 112-meter tall pagoda is ensured prominence in Yangon skyline, as building heights in Yangon are capped at 127 meters. The pagoda is the centerpiece of the site, and it was built by bricks covered by gold plates, where the top is crowned with incredible jewels of unquantified value. Buddhist pilgrims flock here offering flowers, candles, flags, and streamers as a symbolic act of giving, as they pray for their longevity and good fortune. It's a place to stroll, to people watch, and to be seen and photographed. You may have noticed that we are staying longer than usual here, as the pagoda takes a golden glow as the sun sets and the lights take over. At sunset, it is the best time to visit this amazing site. Evidence of the monks and pagodas everywhere is a constant reminder that Myanmar is a 91% devoted Buddhist country. A 4:45 wake-up call this morning for our 85-minute flight north to Mandalay. Myanmar is nicknamed the country of thousand smiles, and did witness many in person as we traveled a vast country spanning 2,000 kilometers north to south. Our guide Kia Niwagi and the driver were waiting at the Mandalay airport for a short drive to our next destination. Mandalay in 1857 was the capital of the Mindon monarchy until falling to the British in the final Anglo-Burmese War of 1885. But the royal legacy ensures Mandalay the remains of great cultural and religious significance. The Mehagan Daeon Monastery, built in 1908, is one of 1,768 in Mandalay, where 5,000 men dedicate their entire lifestyle to Buddhism. We the tourists come every day at 10:10 to watch the lunch ceremony, where the Buddhists arrive among the onlookers and accept small donations as they travel to pick up their daily lunches. This lifestyle is sustained 100% by sponsors and donors. The ranking of the Buddhists are: pre-novas are aged 8 to 12, they wear white, must stay put for minimum 3 years and abide by 10 set rules. Novices are aged 13 to 20, wearing maroon robe, abide by 115 rules. Monks are aged over 20 years old, wear maroon, must abide by 227 rules. All Buddhist rules must be abided or you are expelled. No gay or army men are allowed, nor mattresses, cell, radio, or TV. And yes, crew cut hairstyle as you have noticed. Daily routine is they meditate 4 to 5:30 a.m., eat twice a day, 5:30 and 10:30, study from 8:30 to 9:30, and in the afternoon from 1 to 5. We end our visit passing through the kitchen where hundreds of meals are prepared daily. Notwithstanding this regimented, healthy lifestyle of most Buddhists, the Burmese overall lifespan is only 55 years for men and 57 years for women, well below developed nations. Our guide insists that the people on the farms live longer, and he attributes this short national lifespan due that the most of the food products come from neighboring China. Food for thought. A short visit to the silk weaving factory as the ladies sing along to the music that they're plugged in, to forget the boredom of their profession. You may have noticed that most locals wear this yellow face protection sunscreen called tananka, a sandalwood powder worn mainly by women for 2,000 years. Then on to a gold leaf factory where they produce the gold coverings for the temples by hammering the gold to less than paper thin. Then we will have lunch at this restaurant.
In the year 1945, at the time they said the Japanese army was inside, so British aeroplane, they dropped the bomb. So that's why all the failures were destroyed by the English. 1945, March 17, all the failures inside.
We finally checked in at our hotel at 1:18 p.m. The Mercure Mandalay Hill, as we were welcomed as royalties and as we were briefed about the dinner menu and show. Then we were escorted to our room. It's an older hotel with a grand lobby and beautiful gardens.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This building has our reception in number 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Nice day.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
There's someone will come
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
We restarted touring at 3:30 with a quick visit to the Golden Palace Buddhist Monastery, built in the tradition Burmese architectural style out of teak wood in 1878. Yes, no ladies are allowed here. Then to the Katodao Pagoda built in 1857. We learned quickly that whenever we found a noisy crowd, it meant that we were preceded by a Chinese tour bus. Surrounding the pagoda there were 729 shrines, each containing a single marble slab inscribed on both sides in Burmese script. Together, the 729 slabs are called the world's largest book. The sounds of the bells you hear announces that a visitor has made an important donation to this temple.
On the top of the hill.
Then on the drive to climb Mandalay Hill, the Sutang Pai Pagoda, I was most impressed with the beautiful arched colonnades cladded with millions of colored glass mosaics. Looking below in the valley, you see our hotel. The highlight for visitor to the hill is mostly to see the sunset over the Irrawaddy River below, and as that happens, the glass mosaics reflect the sunset glow of the sun.
Yeah, I know. She said she was a bit clatter on the map. Okay, thank you, darling.
You can look at it now that it's not so bright.
Last night hotel barbecue was in an incredible romantic garden setting while we watched puppeteers and dancers. The persistent mosquitoes, the smell of the repellent, the lousy wine, the mediocre food, and the large bill did not make it a memorable dinner. Another great breakfast served with a smile at our hotel this morning. In Mandalay, transportation here is with tuk-tuks and waves of motorcycles, where a driver every second day dies in accidents. First stop this morning is a visit to the Royal Palace, built in 1857, all but destroyed by the Allied bombings in World War II, except for the watchtower and the Mint building. The year was 1885, and the last Burmese king was standing strong. The British forces were marching into Mandalay with very little opposition. Their plan was to take over the country, and it was succeeding. But capturing the royal palace of Mandalay in the center of the city was going to be an important symbolic victory. As it turned out, overtaking the palace and King Tibau Min was even easier than predicted. The British demanded unconditional surrender, and that's what they got. The king and queen were put on a bullock cart and taken down the river to be sent into exile in India. The story goes that when the British soldiers pulled out their guns, the king dropped down to his knees and begged for his life to be spared. The queen instead walked away on her own, defiantly, towards the steamer on the mighty Irrawaddy River. The king and queen that once lived here no longer is now inhabited by many loving pigeons. The palace with its tin roof and teak wood structure are in desperate need of restoration. Perhaps the best way to see the vastness of the compound is to climb the 120-step circular tower where the white lookout guard post is and where the archer would then stand by on guard.
This one. No? So
Just that cooked,
and not cook, roasted.
roasted.
On the fire.
And you
And then swallow. You know what happened to my dysentery? On the spot. Stop.
My favorite photography subjects are always local people doing their daily routines, as if tourism or technology had not come around yet. Here we see Myanmar best friend buffaloes, not ever used as meat, but as a reliable trapper, as a log is dragged by the buffalo to cover peanut seeds as not to be picked up by the birds. Both countries have an innovative way how to carry disproportionate loads relative to their vehicle size.
So you can see the old one there. Opened in the year 1934. They opened in the year 1934. 1942, when the Japanese come into Myanmar, all the English, they cross. And then, dynamite. So during the war broken. But better on the book, you know, on the ship. You see there. That during the war. Oh, I don't know, it's okay, it's okay.
yeah, you can see.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The two span? Oh. See like that?
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah, no? This city became the capital of Myanmar twice, like Marabura. But much more earlier. 13 to 1364, first time.
This village.
Perhaps the highlight of the day was to see up close the Buddhist nunnery in a serene, harmonious setting. I found the ceremony of simple pageantry very orderly and divine, as they were dressed in pink robes and sung in unison. These women, as young as 10 years old, are too poor to afford shelter, food, and education, so they are given all that and more in this refuge. This country has many hurdles going forward, as actual wages here are below poverty line, $3 per day, and the 18 minimum age is overlooked, as the service industry staff looks for the most part infantile, for the great need to help their families to provide basic necessities. Yes, it's true, Burmese are short in stature, but doubt that every youngster we asked, they always said they were 18 years old. We then drove by the Sitago International Buddhist Academy, where I asked our guide and driver to stop to take these images of this unique architecture. This monastic school of 3,000 students look like any other school children except their uniform. Students are happy here for lunch break also, and are curious to intermingle with foreigners like us. It's nice to see youngsters full of life.
Hello, how are you?
Then we saw the impressive Yu Min Thon's Pagoda, built in 1366 and reconstructed in 1847. It contains 45 statues, a statue for every year Buddha was a Buddhist. He became a Buddhist at the age of 35 and died at 80. I see very little difference in each statue, age-wise, but then I'm only a traveler and not a Buddhist believer. More important than this pagoda, this hill gives us a great vantage point of how many pagodas mushroom in the hills around Mandalay and the great view of Irrawaddy River that we will be on tomorrow. We discussed at length with our guide the universal problem of cell and Facebook dependency of all our youth and now also the non so young.
My son and daughter. And when they get up with the Facebook, and when they go to bed with the Facebook.
And when they have supper with the Facebook.
Facebook, everything, you know,
everything is
every the whole day. Even my nephew yesterday he visited at my home and then he sent the picture. My daughter with the Facebook. You see here?
He sent you a picture of your daughter. Let me
My,
see.
I really. Who's that? Sure.
For the first time since our start of our trip 10 days ago, we took some time off today by swimming in the large pool. Then I could not resist giving you a glimpse of the hotel's beautiful gardens.
Where's my drink?
You didn't want one, I don't order one.
No?
Nope. If you wanted to order it.
After supper, a drink at the Kipling bar and listening to a quartet playing 80s standards to bring to a close the Mandalay visit. This morning, our cruise guide, Mr. Twing Mio Ung, picked us up at the hotel, and prior to delivering us and the luggages to the Irrawaddy River cruise, he will take us to see remaining interesting sights around Mandalay. We first visited the famous U-beam bridge. The bridge may look like just another rickety wooden crossing, which it is, but this historic span is actually made of the remains of the royal palace. Its 1.2 kilometer long is considered the oldest and longest teak bridge in the world. As you may have guessed it, I walked the rickety bridge all the way and back, and that was my morning exercise against the advice of our guide and Michela, since we were running late. The guide was telling me that during the rainy season, the water level rises so much that you could touch the water from the bridge. Yes, her irresistible smile and insistence yielded a sale of a necklace. The Mahamuni Pagoda is one of the most important Buddhist pilgrimage sites in Burma. Another temple, another statue of Buddha built up like 20 centimeters thick skin of pure gold, if you can imagine that. As the worshippers continue to build the precious mantle, that work is broadcasted on closed-circuit TV. The security is tight. Only men are allowed to get a closer look. To me, I appreciated more the vast labyrinth of the colonnade with Roman arches, a work of an Italian engineer in 1889. At the entrance of major temples, the flower vendors are an attraction for photographers, as you can imagine. As the cruise guide took us to the Kuthodao Pagoda, we realized that this was a return visit. While waiting, I noticed that a group of recent graduate students had chosen this backdrop to take their memorable images. It became the unofficial touristic photo shoot you see here. Yes, we are ready for a transportation diversion today, and eager as we take our first river cruise in an exotic location, departing today at 12:30. The Strand River vessel is owned by the same Singapore-Hong Kong family that owns Strand Hotel Yangon that we visit on day 2. The vessel has 25 suites for 50 guests and a crew of 48. But since tourism has taken a hit, there is only 15 passengers today, and due to that we were offered a free suite upgrade. The ratio of crew to passenger is 3:1, and the constant attention is practically embarrassing. The passengers are mostly Australians, a Swiss couple, and us. It's a floating palace, super luxury interior finishing like the hotel with very fine woods. The welcome is first class, where you take off your shoes as straw slippers are given to all. We had the best lunch yet on our trip with a decent Myanmar local wine. Menu and wines change every day.
So the two more people.
The first stop we docked, we were swamped by ladies selling what you see here. And each face has a classic story of existence in poor Myanmar. We departed from here in a tuk-tuk pickup truck with seats to Mingun, one of the country's former capital. Here we are at the foot of the unfinished pagoda, one of the largest pagodas ever constructed in the history of Myanmar. The pagoda is home to the magnificent Ningun bell, claimed to be the largest uncracked hanging bell in the world.
The temple.
You could get lost in here.
Phaya Sinbyum is an impressive pagoda that rises in 7 curved whitewashed terraces, representing the 7 mountain ranges around Mount Meru, the mountain at the center of the Buddhist universe. This afternoon we docked next to a sandbar for the night, as the crew is setting up for a barbecue by creating a tropical setting by planting palm branches. Another first for us, having a barbecue under the stars in the middle of the Irrawaddy River in Myanmar. This event happened by chance, as usually at this time the river level is much higher and the sandy island is underwater. Amazing barbecue and good night from somewhere in Myanmar. As I open the curtains at 6 a.m., I see that we are cruising at full steam ahead. I was glad to wake up pre-dawn, as we happened to be navigating a segment of the river right below the Mandalay Hills, and looking out, it looks like a mythical movie set, with countless pagodas springing from the hilltops of Mandalay. Does this place actually exist? Yes, it does. We Westerners may feel that this concentration of pagodas may be over the top, but to local believers, each one has a particular importance and timeline in their Buddhist history. It is very evident here that locals take their religion very seriously. Whether you are a believer or not, religious places of worship are meant to impress us beyond belief. If you are confused what is a temple, pagoda, or stupa, you are not alone. While there's not a clear distinction between a stupa and a pagoda tends to be a solid structure that usually you cannot enter, while a pagoda is often referred as a hollow building that can be entered. It is easy to get confused because a pagoda is generally a temple, but the design of a pagoda evolved from a stupa. It's 7 a.m. now, and now that I got my precious footage, it's time for breakfast. And as you can see from the menu today, these are the choices. Due to the very shallow hull, the 200-foot long vessel can practically anchor in the weeds, as you can see. We are stopping to visit today Ava, the ancient imperial capital of the Burmese kingdoms, as our horse-drawn carriage for two was waiting at our arrival. It's a sparkling day, and the ride today was the most pleasing we've had as we travel through the rural area of Ava. As you can see, I'm experimenting with my GoPro extension arm for the first time. As we ride the horse cart in the back seats, we spot Tata, the young girl that we met when we docked, as she still tries to sell the stone trinkets.
What is this for?
Yeah. Only Myanmar language, Myanmar Pali language, no English language. I learn English, school holiday, I'm visiting for the tourists, I remember.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Today is, what is?
It's Saturday.
Yeah. Saturday, yeah. Now, a lot of people follow me, a lot of people friends, a lot of people stay.
Enjoy the front seat leisurely ride with us as we see the untouched agrarian Myanmar. As we see on both sides of the country road the different stages of growth of a banana plantation. The first stop is at Bopaya Monastery, one of the most famous tourist attractions in Burma. Fire burned through the teak monasteries in 1821, reconstructed in 1992, as today is a museum, and as we see and hear, two monks praying in total darkness. Our second stop is at the Adana Simi Pagoda complex. Most interesting here for us was the size of this banyan tree and to see this wedding couple that by now you have figured out that the Burmese wedding color is pink. Judging from the crowd size and the number of taxis here, we imagine that we have arrived at the highlight of this unique trip, Ava, a once prominent city. Throughout history, Ava has been ravaged by war and natural disasters and rebuilt numerous times. Today, all that is left are the ruins and remains of an abandoned kingdom forever imprinted in this country's history. As you can imagine, road assistance is hard to find in rural Myanmar. So horseshoe replacement must wait until they're back at the farm.
It's hurting. The shoe. I would like to go to Sicily. I've never been to these things. Everybody, there's no country. I couldn't wait to go.
Back at the base, as we can truly say we had a very relaxing visit today with this unique trot-paced, jingly mode of transportation.
Hello. Thank you.
How do you find this bus ride?
Good.
No bumping?
No shock absorber.
Had a great lunch and then a relaxing afternoon as we cruised upstream to Bagan. And as you know, relaxing for me means finding a comfortable place to write my daily travel logs that became contemporary notes to this film. Then finally had a siesta, missing the 4 p.m. tea time. The director had an informative presentation on the main deck about the particularities of Myanmar. He started with the traditions and costumes of that wedded couple. Dowry here is still legal. Then with cooking class, grapefruit and shrimps. Then the application of kanaka, a yellowish white cosmetic paste made from ground bark. Then Michaela had a manicure as I visited the wheelhouse here is called, maneuvered simply with a joystick instead. This morning could not sleep, so what better time to go to deck and watch a Burmese sunrise. No one was in sight to better contemplate who has glided over this Irrawaddy River through time. Only the churning of the engine, the occasional rooster announcing arrival of dawn, the smell of burning wood were the only distractions to a very peaceful beginning to a new day. The Irrawaddy River is one of the world's most beautiful rivers that flows 2,170 kilometers north to south through the center of the country. The river is born and dies in Myanmar and is interrupted by 7 dams in controlling the flood season and to generate hydroelectric power. We disembarked the $7 million vessel that costs $35,000 per day to charter. Actually, the next group is a Taiwanese group that has fully reserved the boat. It was an amazing experience for both of us. We had to cross the Yu market as we disembarked. This is a living museum beacon, as truly depicts the season, the produces, the inhabitants, the merchants, and farmers of the area. And probably it's the only few places where it's least contaminated by tourism. A genuine place that exists every day whether we come or not.
This is okra. Lemongrass. Lemongrass. Also fruit. We sell in season fresh papaya, apple, grape, honeymelon.
The Swazigon Pagoda is a Buddhist religious place, as it's believed to enshrine a bone and a tooth of Gautama Buddha. The pagoda is in the form of a cone formed by 5 square terraces with a central solid core. It is the most visible, highest, oldest stupa of Bagan. I am amazed how this noisy, dangerous Chinese truck is allowed to roam with an exposed motor. The Tilominlo temple was built during the reign of King Tilominlo. The temple is 3 stories tall with a height of 46 meters and built with red bricks. The Ananda temple was built in 1105 AD during the reign of King Kinzita of the pagan dynasty. To me, it's by far the prettiest and best maintained temple in Myanmar. Another welcoming ceremony at our exotic Aureum Palace Hotel, and as we were carted to our room, you can see the beautiful landscaping and the Olympic-sized pool that we shared only with the fragrance of the frangipani and the flocks of pigeons flying overhead.
Yes. Upstairs, here is second swimming pool. Second pool. Second pool.
Sorry, second what?
Second floor.
Oh, the pool.
Yes, second pool. Big pool.
In the afternoon, we visited a lacquer shop where incredibly the skin is made of bamboo strips 1 millimeter by 5, 1 circle at a time, and then it's lacquered. Yes, no photography is allowed here. Lastly today, we were brought to a hill to watch the sunset that did not materialize. This morning I was bussed at 4:45 a.m. in a vintage vehicle to a field where many other travelers taking the same tour were having breakfast almost in total darkness. Another lifetime punch list item for me to fly over Bagan archaeological site of 2,200 ancient Buddhist temples and pagodas in pre-sunrise hot air balloon. After a brief safety session with the captain, letting everybody know that there's no toilet on board, the crew begins blowing with an industrial fan air into a deflated balloon. Then by firing the gas torch, it slowly begins to take shape to the towering 6-story high balloon. An impressive sight as our 8 maroon balloons were becoming all erect.
Okay guys, I'm going to ask everybody now to adopt the landing position, please. Landing position.
Then, like being in zero gravity, we lift off like a feather or a butterfly swept by a gentle breeze. As we clear the treetops, we can mirror how the other balloons are gliding along. I had prepared for this moment, and although I had not much practice with the GoPro, we'll do better if there is a next time. Could not believe that everyone else was using their iPhones to memorialize a lifetime moment. The balloon operator also had a GoPro attached to the exterior of the balloon, taking this amazing souvenir image. It's an unbelievable scene below us, as many temples lay intact, while others with time have crumbled due to earthquakes. Imagine what it looked like when there were 10,000 structures in this area. I am still in awe that this area exists 9th century after the fact. Incredible concentration of century-old scattered iconic buildings built between 11th and 13th century, when there were 10,000 of them and were spread through 26 square miles. This site is considered to be one of the world's greatest archaeological sites, on par with Machu Picchu and Angkor Wat. The basket has 4 passengers in each quadrant, with Gavin the pilot in the middle with the propane tanks. Since Michaela stayed at the hotel for fear of heights, I ended up in quadrant 3 with another couple, so I had little more elbow room. Here I'm experimenting with my extension GoPro arm that I had prepared for, but still without a monitor, I had to look at the camera to see what I was filming from a distance. Once we were at about 2,000 feet elevation, you could not hear a pin drop except when the captain thought we needed more lift by firing the torch, or another balloon was radioing in his position. Not every day is clear sailing like this one, says our captain, especially when the Burmese burn their fields.
We've got a lovely flight this morning, guys.
Yeah?
Visibility is beautiful, yeah.
It's not like this every morning.
No.
As we are descending, it's now 8 o'clock and the light is just right for photography. We touched down by deflating the balloon by opening a trap vent at the top. We were offered another snack, a glass of champagne, and a certificate of participation to an experience you must place high on your to-do list before you die. We just had time to recharge the batteries, safeguard the data from the balloon trip, and to have a quick breakfast as we listened to an authentic Burmese tune to take off at 10 a.m. with our guide. Going through the countryside is my best favorite part of traveling. Observed peanut extraction field crew with an outdated machine that did not follow any safety guidance imaginable. This is what it is. Poor countries do what they can with the little resources they have, and all things considering, this operation was mechanized at least. Then we saw the grinding of the same peanuts into peanut oil the old-fashioned way. Saw these locals that looked Cambodian, which our guide agreed. Bought custard apples, which we have planted their seeds now in our garden. We stopped at the small but colorful market in the town of Popa. A little drizzle adds life to flowers in this high altitude, cool temperature, rich soil from the volcano, as everything grows, as you can see. We had planned to climb the 1,000 steps of Mount Popa, but decided to follow our guide advice and see the site from a distance from this resort. We had a good relaxing lunch break and best vantage point to see the top of the volcano marble. Mount Popa, meaning flower, is best known as a pilgrimage site with numerous Nat temples perched atop the mountain that once was a volcano that lastly erupted in 442 BC. The ancient volcano plug stands at 1,518 meters high. If you don't want to climb Mount Popa on foot, then this vantage point is definitely the second best location point to see this incredible sight while you relax. As we arrive at the hotel, the tables are set for dinner in a beautiful setting, as you can see. It's 3:45 a.m. as now it will be 3 consecutive sunrises I witnessed on the cruise, in a balloon, and now today from a watchtower. Since Bagan is basically flat and not everybody has the $300 to ride the balloons, they decide to build in 2005 a 360-degree viewing tower restaurant right next to our hotel you see here. We heard that this tower, and our hotel included, is on an archaeological grounds and must be torn down. I see that hard to believe. Once again, even from this vantage point, the view is a historical fairy tale. As we depart Bagan today, we see tremendous potential for tourism industry. Bagan was a thriving city before it was invaded by Mongols in the year 1300. We hope that the touristic invasion will be less invasive. Just think, when the population was 1 million strong, now it's dwindling to only 45,000. Bagan was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in July 7, 2019. This will inject the status Myanmar to promote this abundance of stupas, temples, monasteries, fortifications dating back centuries. Back at the hotel for one last time to listen to the ancient Burmese string instrument as we have breakfast and depart this amazing place of Bagan that while making this film it urges me for a return trip. We depart this morning for a short flight to Inle Lake. Looking at all the fields from my window, it's evident that this area at 1200-meter altitude would supply 60% of the veggies to Myanmar with a temperate climate of 25 Celsius, ideal for growing fruits and vegetables. As soon as we stepped in Iho Airport, where its terminal is outdated as the one we left behind in Bagan, we were met by a lady, and then we were relayed to our area guide and driver. We have been in many remote places, but this beats almost all of them for the contrasts. No more cars here, simply very noisy skinny boats that are the sole mode to navigate the lake, its canal and tributaries. Inle Lake is 22 km long and 10 km wide, and it's very shallow, 1.5 to 3 meter deep, and sits in a valley between two mountain ranges where its water level varies greatly with the seasonal rains. Crossing the main town of Iho, it seems like Venice-like boating activity as we head through a canal and then into open water where we encounter water hyacinth islands that grow vivaciously everywhere due to the shallow depth of the lake. No one could find us here, even with a GPS, as there are no charter waters to get to the hotel. After about a 45-minute at full throttle over water hyacinth uncapped path, we got there. The hotel is not a palace, as its name may suggest, and looks more like weather cottage country in the middle of nowhere. But staff reception was welcoming, and our bungalow was charming. The bungalow was super spacious. Its rooms are richly decorated, and the flower arrangements are everywhere, even where you would not expect them. A little break before we head back to explore the Inle Lake. The most interesting fact about the Inle Lake for me is the wonder of the water hyacinth and how man has converted this ferocious weed into something magical. 1/3 of the lake is used for floating farming, mainly tomatoes on floating pads, water hyacinths. And you thought modern man had invented hydroponic farming? The sticks you see are to hold the patches in place so they don't float away and attach themselves to your neighbor's garden. Of course, this is not easy farming, as to tend to the garden, it's not from land, but from a boat. What I call it a weed indirectly purifies the lake. The stem root is eaten, or they make thread. The flower is sacred to honor Buddha. The seeds are eaten. The leaves are used to package market goods. And the rotten weed is picked from the bottom as manure to feed the floating garden. That's what you call recycling. We then visited a silk and lotus weaving factory. To me, what is interesting is how the locals use their only way of transportation, an elongated narrow gondola-like wooden hull powered with a Trattler-sounding outboard engine with an elongated propeller stem to navigate the shallow waters and the complex weedways. Propeller glides on the lake's surface, creating the illusion, seen from a distance, as something is water skiing behind the boat. Another beautiful bright day today, and off we go again for another adventure as our guide with the sun umbrella arrived punctually at 9 a.m. We witnessed firsthand this morning how the serenity of this lake inhabitant was shattered by tourist boats circling in a frenzy this poor fisherman for a picture. In the process, they created such a wave havoc that the fisherman had difficulties staking where he had planted the bottom-feeding carp traps. The fisherman must have thought that this type of tourism does not help his fishing livelihood. This fisherman is using a technique similar to lobster catching to catch carp. Perhaps we should leave him alone so he can feed his family. We leave the lake to go into the canals flanked by dwellings on stilts, where local life always involves a boat or a bridge interconnecting the inland lake community. We continue to navigate upstream in this curvy, fast-flowing Indian River. We navigate below pedestrian bridges or where they once were. As we climb the river's elevation, we also periodically scrape against bamboo dikes to raise the water level as to make the river navigable that look like a beaver had engineered the project. We are climbing upstream from the lake's 900-meter altitude into Myanmar tribal territory, where not until 2000 was safe to travel to. Occasionally we meet a tourist boat carrying the usual 4 people, the driver, the guide, and a couple of Westerners, easily distinguishable by their pale complexion, sunglasses, and belt size. Enjoy the unique boat ride with us. As we get closer to the Indein village, we see more buildings and human activity. Upon disembarking, locals go about their normal routine, such as washing their clothes in the river. This community is often being visited now by tourists due to a hillside complex containing brick buildings with intricate carved entrance, as you can see. Higher up, we find a dense forest-like concentration of 1,600 Buddhist stupas. Some are made of mud, some of stone, some are gilded with precious metals. These structures date from the 14th to the 18th century and are typical of Burmese zerai. If you remember, stupas are solid core structures. Several have been restored. Proof are their plaques by the donors that have contributed funds towards their restoration. Many have been reclaimed by the surrounding jungle and lay partially crumbled, covered in creeping greenery. This is the best by far, the most important archaeological Buddhist site near the lake. We find beauty and mystique even in the area in ruin just by looking at some of those detailed entrances. We leave the same way we came in by walking this white covered walkway flanked by idle or absent merchants that led to the archaeological site. For travel photographers, colorful local faces leave the most lasting impression. As we now head downstream, by using the telescopic extension to my GoPro, you can get a better idea of the streamlined vessel we travel in. As we reach the lake, the attraction is photographing passing boats or locals as they go about doing their daily routine. There are 30 fishing techniques unique only to this lake. But as fish dwindle, cameras replace the hook as it becomes more profitable to pose instead of fishing. These unique fishing methods create postcard-like photography that in turn becomes iconic touristic symbols of the area. We have stayed away from eating this lake catch, as we find due to the fact that the lake inhabitants do not have any plumbing, thus polluting the same habitat that in turn feeds them. Since we wanted to avoid boat travel due to the intolerable outdoor motor noise, we tried to find what else would be different to see in the area on firm ground. The other reason was that we had seen enough temples, pagoda, and stupas for a lifetime. We found through a web search you see here that due to the temperate climate, they produce wine in 2 wineries in this lake region. We had chosen to go to the closest, Red Mountain Winery. We had a great lunch on a picnic table, tasted their 4 wines, prompting us to purchase a couple of bottles and one for the guide. It was a great experience. It seems that we have been here a long time, but it's only been a day and a half, yet enough time to forge many memories. Our hotel is the largest hotel chain in Myanmar, and their trademark is building imposing structures like this one using Burmese A-frame architecture, using mostly teak with columns that seem to be extruded through centuries in a perfect cylindrical 1 meter diameter. The manager provided a surprise for our departure, a couple dressed in local festival costumes solely for us checking out. This larger resort had to lay off staff recently, as during our stay we were only 20 guests. Not enough to pay the running costs, and we felt that our positive comments on our stay here were very important to the staff. Back at the Iho Regional Airport that was built by the British in 1942, and not much renovation has been done since. Here, for some reason, we are asked to go through international immigration, even though we're flying within the country. We are today back on the regular flight plan of flying every other day, and although the flight time here is only 40 minutes, check-in was tediously longer. It's our 4th flight in Myanmar with this 72-seater, $28 million ATR 72-600 Italian-French-made twin prop. I am very impressed with this plane, how it handles itself for these such short routes. We have sprinkled a few day rest stops throughout this journey, and the first one is to the town of Nagabali Beach Resort on the Bay of Bengal Sea. Don't worry if you did not know this beach resort destination, nor did we knew then, but we sure know now. The trip has been clockwork, as they were also waiting for us here too. Actually, for some reason, our name was in capital letters. The hotel staff picked us up in a pickup truck, and as you see, visitors are all couples staying at our resort. A short drive, and here we are, a little pampering as always, then checking for 2 nights. Then we were led to our bungalow by walking the steep serpentine walkway, as you get at the same time an idea of the resort's layout and landscaping. The left side of dwellings are 2 stories for the views, while the ones on the right, on the ocean front, are all bungalows. I don't know if you notice the towering palm trees here, perhaps reaching 8 stories high. That indicates to me that most probably the palm trees got here before the hotel. Finally, the hotel escort brings us to our bungalow, which is semi-detached and right on Nagapali beautiful beach. Yes, we were briefed, given straw hats, and a pair of colorful beach sandals to start our séjour. As I always do, cannot wait to open the door and go on the terrace to see the view we got, as our choice made was a good one again. I don't know about you, but every time I travel to a place I've never been, I get a high to see the place for the first time.
So, how is it?
Not bad for a location.
No?
I got to admit that I am seldom idle on our world travels, but having the office desk facing what we all dream about to write my travelogue, a bottle of wine that we bought yesterday at the winery, an amazingly fresh seafood lunch that we time-lapsed on our oceanfront terrace, and I could stay here much longer. Then a tropical shower. As we know, living in the tropics, how rain rejuvenates any tropical garden. We had then supper where TripAdvisor suggested is the #1 place for seafood in Nagapali Beach. Although we found the dishes and decor to be so minimalistic that we returned to the resort for a dessert. It's breakfast time in paradise. Along the swimming pool edge, facing the sea. It's a leisurely day today, as we thought to rent a tuk-tuk, my favorite traveling vehicle, as I feel that we are at eye level with pedestrian while traveling in a tuk-tuk. Burmese people are curious, and although lack English communication skills, we see that they have the same aspirations of all humans to have a job, as they work hard 11-hour shifts 6 days per week. To improve their quality of life will take generations for social and economic progress, as here Medicare is not free, schooling after primary is not free, and wages are below poverty line. They are banking on us, tourism, to improve their standards of living, perhaps in not too distant future. Here are 2 Burmese peculiarities. Each letter of their 34-letter alphabet is shaped from the letter O. Their surnames is always the day of the week they were born. The rest of their name, it's entirely optional, as they don't use family names. Nagapali is a beach town, as this main road runs parallel with the beach on the right. Every beach town there is a fishing village, and this is what we came to see today. The pre-tourism routine in these villages are basically all the same, although the catch may differ a little. back at the base for lunch, to write my travelogue, and to later watch the sunset from our privileged viewpoint terrace. We did go back to the Sea Queen restaurant, where we had placed an order for lobsters the night before. As you see, like basically all parts of the world, lobsters are fished prematurely before reaching adulthood. Here, there were $13 each, while at the hotel, they were triple at $37. Last breakfast in Myanmar as we depart this land of 1,000 smiles. We leave behind a sparkling day, 31 Celsius at 8 a.m. and smiling faces as we were handed a parting personalized momentum of our stay, seashell necklace with our name engraved. Flipping through the Golden Airline magazine, we realized that we had covered most highlights of Myanmar. The bustling capital of Yangon, the hills of Mandalay. We cruised the Irrawaddy River, flew over Bagan in a hot air balloon, dashed through the canals of the Inle Lake, saw temples and nunneries, and so on. But most of all, it's the people of Siam, Burma, Myanmar that will remain etched in our memories. Although the country names and government have historically drastically evolved, the Siamese or Burmese have remained authentically themselves, and thus worthwhile reason to visit this land of 1,000 smiles.